Hike.
What's up, YouTube? I'm Spencer Davis with Saturday Out Road. That is Derek Peterson with Saturday Out West. And today we are talking about Washington. We're going to hit on their over-under win total, which DraftKings currently has set at 7.5 with minus 110 juice. Derek, this is an interesting team within the context of the Pac-12, I think. New head coach in Kalen DeBoer, coming over from Fresno State, has some Big Ten experience. The schedule to me sets up for this to be an over, or at least earn some consideration. They don't play USC, they don't play Utah. They've got a game against Michigan State in non-conference that I think they can win. I believe that one's at home. But it sounds like you were not quite as high on this Washington team this year.
Yeah, the over or the number from DraftKings is 7.5. I think that's 2 games too high.
Wow.
I would have set it at 5.5. Look, I think they could win 7 games, but I also think this team could win 5 games. This is as I have looked through all of my Pac-12 teams, this has been the toughest to kind of get a feel for what they're going to be. I just have a massive, massive question mark at quarterback. A handful of people that I've read or talked to, like Michael Penix Jr., the Indiana transfer. I watched him closely. Yeah, you do. We talked about this before we started recording. I'm not as big a fan, especially given that he hasn't played a single season healthy. That is a concern. Dylan Morris was their starter all year last year, and from what I've seen, he hasn't looked very good. And then on defense, one of their best players, Eddie Olafosho, is hurt and might miss the start of the season. They have a couple of nice pieces on defense, and Kalen DeBoer comes over. I wrote in a 7 predictions piece on Washington for my website. I wrote that I think Kalen DeBoer is going to prove himself as a top half of the league coach immediately. I think he's an excellent coach. His resume prior to getting to the FBS level is absurd. Over the course of 4 years at Sioux Falls, they lost 1 time in 57 games, and that one loss was in the NAIA National Championship in 2007, and it prevented Sioux Falls from four-peating as national champions under Kalen DeBoer. He's won everywhere that he's been at. He was at Indiana in 2019 when Penix kind of broke onto the scene, at least in Big Ten land. He was the offensive coordinator there. He goes to Fresno State. His first year as a full-time FBS head coach, he has COVID, and he has a messed up offseason and has to try to figure out, okay, how do I get this new team ready to go? And then in 2021, they have a top 30 offense. His first full kind of year to work things. They have a top 30 offense by S&P Plus. Fresno State does. He brought a lot of that staff with him to Washington. And there aren't a ton of reasons to question the coaching staff, but as I look at the schedule, Michigan State is tough, especially early in the season for a new coaching staff. Like I said, that they're going to, maybe they're rotating quarterbacks. I don't know. We left spring ball without a definitive answer on kind of the quarterback pecking order. Just watching their spring showcase event, I thought Sam Heward, former 5-star quarterback, was the best thrower on the day, but he, like I said, he didn't play last year. Dylan Morris was a starter. Mike Penix still had a handful of those questionable decision-making spots that got him into trouble as last year at Indiana. They play at UCLA. They play at Oregon. They play at Washington State to close the season. I think Washington State's going to be better. I think Washington State is a team that can challenge for the North in the Pac-12. I said in this space that I think UCLA can win 10 games, and you were like, what? I don't know what to do with Washington. And so for a number at 7.5, I don't want any part of it.
Let's go through the schedule here. I think I agree with you. 7.5 seems a touch high. I don't think it's 2 wins too high, just because the schedule, like I mentioned at the top, there's no USC, there's no Utah. And look, all right, let's do what we do here. Auto wins: Kent State, Portland State, at Cal. You agree with that? That's 3-0.
Take Cal out of the auto win.
Okay, probable win for Cal.
And swap out Colorado. So three auto
Okay.
wins. Colorado will be an auto win.
Okay, I had them in probable, but I think that's fair since it's at Cal and Colorado's at home.
Yeah.
Other probable wins. I have Stanford at Arizona State versus Arizona and versus Oregon State. Now I know you're fairly high on Oregon State and also the Arizona schools for some reason, but like that is 8, right? And I actually think Michigan State is a team that could be in here for a little bit of a swoon. And so maybe that one's winnable. And then you got the Apple Cup, which I have as a danger game because it's the Apple Cup, but like Washington, that's also a game that Washington could win. So I see 10 games where like they could win, not that they're going to. I only see 3, maybe 3.5 for that. Like I would say they're for sure going to win. So it's just a matter of like how many toss-up games can they win, and I don't know. I just looking at the schedule, just hearing you talk about Kalen DeBoer and the competency that he's going to bring to that job. I think this could easily be a bowl team. And like if they push it to 8-4, maybe they get a couple lucky bounces. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, in his coaching career, he has won close games a lot, and this is you talk about how many toss-up games, how many probable wins, how many potentially close games they have on their schedule. Just the fact that they have so many, I think, is further evidence that we just don't know what to do with this Washington team. Like I said, they could win 7 or 8 games. They could win 5 games and look pretty good. I think one thing that we do know is that this team under Kalen DeBoer is going to be, I think it's going to look a lot easier on the eyes than Jimmy Lake teams did. That situation flamed out
quickly
in spectacular fashion. And it's one of those things where like Chris Peterson had Washington at such a high level. They were the Pac-12's last playoff team, which is incredible to think about. And there are a number of people that question if this program can ever get to that level again. But I think the thing that works in Kalen DeBoer's favor is they're out, at least outside of Washington, there doesn't seem to be an expectation that he has to get them to that level. He just has to make them better than what Jimmy Lake had them at.
Right.
I think he could approach Chris Peterson levels because Washington is a sneakily talent-rich area in terms of recruiting. I mean, the 5-star quarterback that they have on their roster, he was the 12th best prospect from the 2021 class, the number 3 quarterback in the class. He's from Washington. They got good talent in that state. Once he starts winning, I think it'll be a little bit easier for them to recruit that state because they're not getting the top talent now. I think he could get them. I think he could raise the floor quite a bit for this program, but just in year one, just with all of the stuff that we don't know, I think there's the potential that there's going to be a little bit of a quarterback rotation to begin the season as they try to figure out who's the best guy to lead the offense. There's just a lot that we don't know. And for that, I'm just, like I said, if I would put the number at 5.5, I would do so in the hopes that I get play with people in the 6-7 range, but also get play with people at 5. If I'm putting it at 7.5, I don't feel confident that I'm going to get many people hitting over on that. Like I'm not, it would take a lot breaking right to get to 8, but for them to get to 6 or 7, it's perfectly doable.
I think I agree. I think the value here is on the under, especially because the juice is square at -110. I would definitely lean under, even though like I mentioned, like 8 is possible. It's not impossible. I think that's going to do it for this Washington episode. We appreciate you guys hanging with us, and we will catch you next time.